And good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Ed, you take over while I talk to Dr. Teresa.
Well, you got it. So, Dr. Teresa Sanders, what a great guest. Dr. Sanders and I share some things in common. One is that we both have experiences in the government schools. She's out of Texas. Myself, I've taught in Pennsylvania, Florida, Ohio, uh, and we have both written about what goes on, and we have both done something about it. In her case, she has started her own micro schools, uh, safari schools. Hopefully, we'll get a chance to talk to her about that. It's very intriguing. She's also obviously a well-respected woman in the state of Texas, and for that matter, she's done appearances in different countries. As a matter of fact, speaking about education, and she's fascinating, unusual, um, not afraid to speak out, and has a good following. When George had the when George had his the Espen blog up and running, I did an article on her, and that thing took off. That was the number one most read article that was on the page. It was gathering quite a bit of feedback because she draws an audience. How you doing, Michael? Uh, she has definitely a following because people want to hear what she has to say. She's got a lot of knowledge and a lot of expertise, and obviously she, unlike most people, actually did something about it. Did something about what goes on, the nonsense that goes on in the government schools. How you doing, Mrs. Espenlaub? Uh, and it's just you're gonna learn a lot. You're gonna enjoy listening to her, and the by the time the show's over, I'm sure you'll uh, ask for her to come back on because she's the type of lady that you don't want to miss what she says. She's actually had the last time she was on, she was had some closing thoughts that stuck with us, and we never did get over those. I'll have her see if she remembers what she said. Uh, we actually were, that statement she made. We were had our wow moment. George, you back in business? You
Only,
back? You
only,
back?
only back for a minute.
Oh, okay. All right. Was you having some technical difficulties? I bet.
Yeah, Dr. Teresa has to reboot her computer and try again. It wasn't picking up her camera when she came into the studio. So
Okay.
we'll
I
see.
told you. You don't listen to me. I told you.
We'll we'll see if that works. Did you tell people to enter in the comments #book for the drawing tonight?
No, George. I don't know how that works.
Well, the gizmo's running, so we're going to have a drawing tonight. Ed's going to be giving away his one of his book, and let me find it here. That's the book that Mr. Ed Temple wrote, Escape from Uncle Sam's Plantation. We're going to be giving that away, and so if you want to get in on the drawing, type in on the comment #book, and that'll put you in the running, in the drawing for Escape from Uncle Sam's Plantation. So, all right, I'm going to duck out a minute, see how
All
she's
right.
making out, and then I'll be back. So it's all yours.
It's about time, George. I figured out a way to, get George off of here because I'm just going to go ahead and take over this show. Just kidding, Mrs. Espenlaw. At any rate, George does a lot of these things that I am glad he does, and I don't have to do. Which one of them is troubleshooting. But to go back, Dr. Sanders, uh, I'm going to try to pull up this Amazon book she co-authored, but she gets on the case about kids being addicted to social media. And let me tell you something. one of my favorite comments students make is, "Hey, you told my mom that I'm always on my phone, and now I don't get to use my phone. Now I'm going to sit up in the front because the only thing I have to do is learn." And I'm supposed to be somehow upset about that. Like, oh, maybe I won't tell her next time. Really? No, this is exactly what we needed. Hey, how's it going there, Miss Grace? Good to see y'all, everybody. Hopefully you share out. Pretty soon we're going to have Dr. Teresa Sanders on. And she, like I've been saying, is a fascinating individual, kind of person that you never forget. And to be honest with you, we've kept in contact with her because she, as a matter of fact, she's been trying to keep in contact with us as well. We have a really good relationship. I can see her getting ready to pop on right now. I'm going to wait for George to get in the seat here. Give me 1 second there, Dr. Sanders. I see George getting back in the chair. Darn it. I guess I didn't have that. You didn't give me that long to take over, George.
Now I can't hear very well.
Can you hear us?
I can't hear anything.
Do you have your earbuds in?
Let me see if that fixes that. Guys, is that better?
I can hear.
I can hear you. Can you hear us?
Just barely. Wow, I don't know. I caught myself getting ahead of this and nothing seems to be working now.
Is your volume?
I can barely hear anything.
Is your volume turned up?
I wonder why. Wow. I don't know what's going on here. Well, I'll try to do as best I can, folks. I'm so sorry that I don't know what the problem is here.
Well, George, you're going to have to cut her salary in half.
Okay.
George, it's good to see you.
It's good to see you.
Thank you.
That's what live is all about. We get to go through.
Boy, I feel like I am missing out here. Oh my goodness. I'm really sitting here trying to figure this out because I can barely hear anything. I guess we'll just have to wing it, see what happens here.
All righty. Okay. As long as you can hear us.
I cannot.
You can't hear us.
Man, I mean nothing. I can hear nothing. Let's see. Wow.
Do you have your volume turned up?
I do. All the way. And I don't know why. I can hear you speaking, but it's like I can't really hear anything.
Wow.
Gee.
Unless you want to go to an iPhone.
She's on her phone
Let's
now.
see.
Oh, is that what it is?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
This is annoying. I'm really sorry, guys. I don't know what the technical problem is here. I honestly don't know. That's why, George, I asked you for the link early because I thought, let me get through all of this. And I don't know. I don't know. I don't know what to do to fix it. I am not familiar with this at all.
Okay.
How about we put the words on the screen with questions and then maybe you can answer them?
Now, I know you're saying something witty over there, Ed, but I can't I can't hear it. Oh my goodness. Gee, this is awful. Well, I'd love to be a part of a great conversation, but I can't hear anything. How would you like to do this?
How you have your earbuds, right? Do you have
I
your
can hear nothing at all.
thing?
My goodness.
Yeah. Then let me put something up here.
Just nothing. I hear nothing. Dumbing down America.
Let me put this up here.
I thought with the headphones I'd be able to hear, but I still don't hear anything.
Is your Bluetooth turned on? On your phone? Let me ask this here.
Yeah, I'm connected to the phone, but I can't hear anything.
Okay. All right. Well, what do you think, Ed?
I think maybe I'll just type in the questions and see if she can answer them.
All righty. Okay. Tanya said, make sure your device is not. I can't see what that is. Okay.
Muted. Tell her to make sure the device is
If
not
anybody
muted.
has any suggestions, I'll take them. I have no idea what to do here. None.
Tanya said, make sure your device is not muted.
Let's see. Okay.
It's not muted.
Okay. Okay. Let's put this down here.
Yeah, it's not muted. Wow.
Yeah.
I see a question here. It says, tell us about Safari Small Schools.
Yeah.
Okay. Again, I'm so sorry I can't hear you, but I'll go ahead and tell you about Safari Small Schools. So Safari Small Schools is a micro school that I started in 2020, March of 2020, as I left public education. And I knew I didn't want to go back. I knew I couldn't go back. And so I started a 5-student micro school for students who have not been successful in the mainstream classroom, whether it's grades, or academic gaps, behavior, maybe learning disabilities, or what have you. I serve grades pre-K through 3rd, because those are the critical grades where instruction is most important. Good instruction is most important. And I have a particular niche for kids who have behavior problems. So those are the kids who in schools will not get anything. And so I have a preference to work with those. And so far, this is March 20th, made my 2nd year. And it's been a really, really fulfilling experience.
Okay.
Okay.
So it didn't take long for me to realize that the public school system was not somewhere I needed to be. The system is not set up to really teach kids. And when I became an educator, I went in believing that It was a system that was there to teach kids. Once I realized that this is not the case, this is not what public education is about, I eventually made the decision to leave. And I had long planned to open, I had a great vision of a great school I'd like to open. And although the scale of the school is not the same as what I started out to do, the school has been everything I wanted it to be and more. The difference between what I'm doing and what public schools are doing is that my school is 100% student centered, and it's also parent friendly. Parents are not only invited to be part of the process, but it's mandatory that they're part of the process. And the thing that I am doing that's different than schools is I teach the kids from where they are, and I work to get them to where they should be and beyond that. I don't standardize test or anything like that, but I do use the state standards as a guide, and I make sure that the kids are learning each competency. So it's not my school is not necessarily, oh, you should be in third grade here. It's where are the competencies and where have we mastered them? And so as long as my kids are mastering the competencies, that's how I gauge where they are. So instruction is totally centered around them. So the school has been successful. At my highest point, I had 4 out of 5 students. Currently, I have 1 out of 4 students. The community where I live is a small rural community, and the word of mouth is out there. I get referrals from local child care centers and educators who perhaps they have children in their care that they're not equipped to handle, and they refer the parents to me, and I've had a couple enrollees that way. So it's nice to have the support of the community. It's nice to know that people value the service that I offer. Ultimately, I want Safari Small Schools to be nationwide and even international. I want teacherpreneurs, educators who have something great to offer, who want out of the public system. I want to help them establish their own Safari Small Schools, and it'll be geared towards their own niches. So where I like to work with kids with behaviors, perhaps someone else is a math person or an ag person or a music person or the arts of any type. I want people to be able to open their own small schools and work towards their own niche. And they don't have to keep it at 5 students. As long as they can serve the students themselves and serve them properly, I don't care if they have 10 students, 12 students, just as long as they can be served. I do all the teaching. I don't have any other staff here. I am setting up a system where a few behavior teachers I've worked with in the past in the public system, I'm going to train them to be a substitute for me if I ever have to be out. And they're retiring, and so they're all for it. And that way I know that someone who I know and trust can be my sub when I'm out, but I'm the only teacher, and it's designed that way on purpose because I know I can depend on me to be here and to be for the kids. I don't have to worry if someone else is going to show up, if they're going to do what they need to do. I don't have to worry about that. Others, how can others start a Safari Small School? So what I am doing is putting together a course, and it will be offered online, and it's going to be inexpensive because I want teachers to be able to afford it, but it'll be probably 10 or 11 classes to cover each component of starting a small school that I encountered. Insurance, potential licensing, the physical plant, where are you going to do this, needs assessment. Those are things that I am willing to share with people. And each workshop will be an hour long, and each workshop will cost $39. And I am willing to teach whoever's interested in doing that how to do it. This crazy light behind me, guys, I'm so sorry. It's the sun. And so I am willing to teach anyone who wants to know how to do that, and not only for the small schools, but I'm also willing to teach people how to start their own homeschool in their home. For the record, my school does fall under homeschool rules in Texas. However, I do keep the records and track academic growth and those types of things. The question is, how do I evaluate students? So when students come into me, typically they're 4, 5, or 6 years old. And so I have measures, simple things that I've pulled from the internet or created myself. So for example, the alphabet, I want to know what letters you know, and I want to know if you know the sounds. So I have documents that, okay, and I spend probably 2 or 3 days assessing kids. Okay, tell me what this is. What sound does it make? I am able to go through and gauge what they know. And then periodically, maybe every 8 weeks or so, I go back to that and say, okay, let's look at this again to see how they're growing, and just continue to document it, put dates on it, document the growth. I can see then what I need to focus more on, what I need to maybe pull back on. And it's been working really well so far. I assess them in reading, writing, math, and then everything else. I just teach from the standards, but I need to know where they are with their reading, their writing, and their math. And I go from there. I have had many people inquire about how to start a school. That's why I decided to start offering the course work, virtually. The farthest away I had was California, and then also a family from Canada. And then I've had some folks locally also ask, and quite a few folks on Twitter. So what makes this different from homeschool, and how can homeschool transition into this, and does it go higher than 3rd grade? Okay, so my whole desire is for this to go higher than 3rd grade. Ultimately, I would like this to be available all the way up till seniors, the senior year. What makes this different from homeschool is several things. One, the parents aren't teaching it. I'm teaching it. 2, one of the few things that I brought from public education was the data collection, the tracking, and the assessing. I'm pretty formal with that, whereas maybe with homeschools, parents may not be as formal with it. I am formal with it because when students leave me and return to big school, public school, we call it big school here, I want to be able to demonstrate with work samples, this is what this student can do, and here's the work sample to prove it. In addition, my students, once they master something, they have to prove that to their parents as well. And then their parents have to sign off on the work sample, and then I file that away. So there's never any confusion about what the students know, and the parents are always in the loop about what their kids can do. If you want to reach me about Safari Small Schools, there's several ways to do it. My website is safarismallschools.com. A really vibrant place to look is my Facebook page for Safari Small Schools. Not only will you be able to see the students, but you'll be able to see, in action what we're doing, what they're learning, how they're learning it. And then my email is Dr. Sanders at safarismallschools.com. And my phone number is 469-360-8528. My school is funded 100% by parents. I receive no government funding whatsoever, and that is by design. I don't want to be in a position where the government can tell me I need to do something this way or I need to do something that way. Minimally, because I'm falling under homeschool rules, the government is able to say I have to teach the kids reading, writing, math, and civics. And that's a Texas thing. That's fine. I teach them far more than that. And so I'm in compliance with that. But parents' tuition is how I'm funded. And then I have people who donate. I received a very handsome donation a couple of days ago. And so that's, people are just kind of supporting the vision, and it's really nice to see. The biggest joy that I have about Safari Small Schools, and what have I had to adjust to? The biggest joy of Safari Small Schools is not having my hands tied when I want to teach. Not having my hands tied. I can teach. I can teach. And I can teach spontaneously, and I can teach interesting things, and I can be flexible and stop right here. Wait, there's an earth mover out there. Come on, guys, let's go look. That is the best thing ever, ever. And the kids love it, and I love it. It has really, it opens up teaching. And so, I'll explain having my hands tied. That is the biggest joy of some Safari Small Schools. And what I mean by having my hands tied is being controlled by the district about what you can teach, when you can teach it. With the district, they are working from a place to get to standardized testing in the spring. So when you have a child who's struggling, particularly in reading, you don't have the time to go back and remediate them like they need. And so they're simply falling farther and farther and farther behind. With my own school, I meet them where they are. And I can take as much time as I need to make sure that they're grasping concepts. I took the Orton Gillingham training over the summer, and so I'm in the practicum part of it now. And if you go to my Safari Small Schools or my Twitter page, my Safari Small Schools Twitter page, you'll be able to see a 4-year-old, despite ADHD, despite his behavior, a 4-year-old going from limited knowledge to blowing reading and writing and spelling out of the water at 4 years old. I don't know any public school that's doing that. Should a homeschool parent start a Safari Small School? I'm on the fence about that. I believe that parents are great teachers. But one of the things that I had advertised with Safari Small Schools was certified teachers. That very well may change, because you don't have to be a certified teacher to be a good teacher. You don't. And there are good teachers out there who aren't certified, who can teach. And so the answer to that is, should a homeschool parent start a Safari Small School? If a parent can serve their kids and other kids and ensure that kids are learning, the answer to that is an overwhelmingly resounding yes. Yes, because certification does not make you a good teacher, and lack of certification doesn't make you a less than teacher. So they could. Now that I'm saying that, I'll probably change that to where, some schools may have certified teachers and some may not. How hard is it to get funding? It's a little difficult to get funding, but at the same time, I haven't looked into all of the private funding sources. I don't want any government funding at all. I'll take any kind of funding from anywhere if it does not come with strings attached. Government funding comes with strings attached. And so I would rather do without the extra funding than to be told how to run my own school. I've gone to school in the system. I taught in the system. They're not doing it right. So I took a major pay cut to run my own program, and it's running right. So I would rather have much less and have it running right than to take government money and have them tell me that I have to do it wrong.
Good point. Good point.
What strings attached? Oh boy. Perhaps the being forced into participating in standardized testing. Nope, don't want to do that. It's not necessary, especially as often as I assess kids. Plus, I have a school where I don't move on to the next concept until the child has mastered the first concept. So the child is learning. Standardized testing is supposed to prove that the child has learned something. While I'm constantly in contact with parents, and my parents sign off on what my kids do. So therefore, the parents know that their children are learning. I don't need standardized testing. I don't want to participate in any type of curriculum or like a lot of the social stuff that's going on. I don't care to get into any of that. What I do care to do is to ensure that my kids can read. That's what I care to do.
Mm-hmm.
The social stuff and all of that, that's for somebody else. That's not my wheelhouse. I don't care to get into that. What I care to get into is literacy and ensuring that my students can read. Quantity versus quality. That one is a slam dunk. When you have 5 kids as opposed to 20, you can provide a degree of quality that cannot be provided in the traditional classroom. That's not to say that there's not some phenomenal educators out there. That's not to say that there's just no good classrooms out there. But in any situation, even us as adults, most of us would rather learn in a group of 5 than we would 25. And so when you only have 5, you can see what needs are. You can hear things that you would probably miss if there were 20, 25 kids in the classroom. Therefore, I can better meet their needs. And that's why I only have 5 students, because if I had 6 or 7 or 8 with ADHD and behavior, I can't meet their needs. There's too many kids. But 5, I can meet their needs. Oh, the feedback has been so positive. You can read it, actually read the posts that parents and some grandparents and other relatives and such have made on the Safari Small Schools Facebook page. It has been nothing but positive, and it's great to hear, especially around behavior first, and then the achievement. It has been very positive and very just reassuring. Does your faith play a part in the decision to have this type of school? Yes, 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 yes. So part of the things that we do at Safari Small Schools is Bible Bible time. We pray in the morning. We learn about biblical character, and we base our character lessons off of what God requires of us. And so when it comes to teaching and what I teach and how I teach it, everything circles around my faith and what I believe. That's another reason why I don't want a lot of government involvement, because more and more it seems as though teachers are going to be faced with having to wade into waters that maybe spiritually they don't agree with.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want that. I don't want to be a part of teaching something that I don't believe in or that I don't agree with. And so my faith does have a lot to do with that. Any adversity with running the school? Yeah, a couple of entitled parents. Yeah, that's as bad as it's gotten. A couple of entitled, just inflexible parents. But you know, that's the reality is that some things never change, and it didn't work out for them. But you can't come and run my school. So at school I would have had to deal with that. Here I don't have to deal with that.
Right. Right.
Can you cite your struggles teaching in government schools, why it's not conducive to learning. Oh boy, I stayed in trouble in the government schools. Okay, so the struggles that I had in public schools always circled around the needs of my students who were behavior kids. And those were kind of the throwaway kids in school. And so when I wanted to lobby for them, or if I had to lobby for them, I always ran into resistance from usually administrators who they just want them quiet, not destroying the classroom, not hurting one another. I rarely had all of the curriculum I needed for them. There was no expectation really for them to achieve or to grow academically. They wanted you to keep a lot of documentation for behavior and all that. But in the end, now that I look back, it was like, for what? It's not like you're going to use it to try to get them out of this program or anything. So the adversity that I met a lot was advocating for my kids. And people don't like that. People don't like when you're kid friendly like that, especially with the behavior kids, because nobody wants the behavior kids around. So that was a big struggle for me. What do I see as the future of Safari Small Schools? Big, broad, long-lasting. Teachers are happy. Teachers are running their own programs, and teachers are teaching kids to read, write, and reason. That's what I see for Safari Small Schools. Schools always just want a head count, and people need to understand that schools are a major ATM machine. That's what I call it. It's a publicly funded ATM machine. That's what it is. And there'll be people who are naysaying me right now. The reality is, let's look at the outcomes. Don't look at what school can be. Don't look at what school was when you were there back in 1980, 70, 60. Let's look at it right now. And let's look at what it's been over several decades. It is a failing institution. You don't know how much flack I catch because I'm just out there with that reality. There are people who want to hold on to, no, not our district. Yes, your district too is a failing institution. It is. And I just feel like I'm not going to sacrifice anyone's child on that altar of failure. It's over. And so when you look at how almost 70% of kids in the United States across all social, racial demographics can't read, how are we winning in public schools?
Right.
So in Texas, I believe it's 9th or 10th grade, the biology STAR test. To get a pass on that test, you need to score only 35 out of 100. 35. And that's a pass. Well, the bar is ankle high. I don't want that for my kid. But people will get that test result and, wow, great job, you did awesome. Not realizing that the bar was at 35%. That's disgusting. What is scary about the government? Oh, what does the future look like? Government education. You get what you pay for. No. So what's happening is that the government is so steeped in all the social mishmash that's going on. I personally believe it's to detract from the horrid failure that is continuing to happen. We are not looking at literacy. We're looking at critical race theory. We're not looking at literacy. We're looking at LGBTQ commentary. We're not looking at literacy. We're looking at sports programs and COVID-related stuff. But all of that is meaningless if the kids can't read anything, and they can't read anything. And so we're graduating illiterate young people to go into a world where they're going to fail because they can't read anything. But then on the back end, you have the prison systems and the contractors who run those prison systems. And the money is just going to be made on their backs again, because they'll end up in prison eventually. Most of them, many of them will. And then guess what's going to happen? They're going to be encouraged to earn a GED or sign up for classes and learn to read in prison. So we won't teach the kids to read in school, but we will teach you to read in prison. And some contractor is going to make a lot of money doing that.
Yeah.
So why do schools fear school choice? Because that money will be trickled out to other organizations, other entities. It's just, again, it's the money. Why do you think the local school districts, what do you think the local school district responsibility is for the current problems? I don't think anything is at the local level. I think it starts at the head and everybody does what they're told. Everybody wants their job. Everybody needs their job, and it just trickles down. It's just, I think most stuff is above the district level pay grade. And I think that ultimately people do what they're ordered to do. So I don't have any criticism for any particular person or level of organization. The public school system is toast. So it's not like the locals are making any, big decisions. What they can and cannot do is dictated from above their heads. Do public schools work for the union or for the kids? Public schools works for high-level administration and all the people who are benefiting, who are well connected to them. The unions, I'm not sure. The unions are money takers, and they get out there and they lobby for everything that's no good in public education. But public schools are not working for the kids. I don't know if they're working for the unions, but I do know that they're working for all the people who are profiting off of programs, curriculum, hardware, software, all of the vendor stuff. There's a lot of people making a lot of money, and it's not trickling down to teachers, and the kids aren't learning anything. But shouldn't they be the ones advocating for more resources? They choose curriculum. Who are the ones advocating?
Local school
I see the
board?
same question again. I wanted to answer the question about advocating. Shouldn't they be the ones advocating for me? Oh, are you talking about the union? The union should be advocating for more resources? What do you think the local school, but shouldn't they?
The local school.
Okay, the questions keep flipping back and forth. Okay, so what do you think the local school district's responsibility is for current problems? Which current problems are you referring to? There's so many. And then who should be advocating for more resources? Well, I don't expect the schools to advocate for more resources, because teaching the kids is not what their their primary goal is. So they're not going to advocate for more resources. Parents can advocate for more resources, and they probably won't get them broadly, but they may be able to get them for their own children. But the schools are not going to do it, because it's not about educating kids. Local school boards are part of the issue as well. They're all in bed together. The school boards, the administrators, the entities that are above them, it's all one big thing. It's all one big group. So it looks like school boards and all of that are behind, let's get these kids educated, but they are not. They're not. But there's power that comes with being on the school board. There's influence that comes with being on the school board. And if somebody out there thinks that I'm wrong, I'd love to hear about it, because if the school boards were so awesome, why can't these kids read? Why is this failure allowed to continue? Why?
Mm-hmm.
The government schools fixable or is school choice the answer? What is the best case scenario for educating students? Is it fixable? Is it fixable? Is the government school system fixable? Is it possible? It is possible. Will it happen? No, it won't, because it's not set up to, the goal is not to educate children. So yeah, if somebody got in there like, yes, let's actually educate children, sure, it could be fixed. But that's not the goal of public education. They're not teaching children to read. They're not teaching children to think. They're not teaching children to have any type of decent citizenship or conduct. They're not teaching kids to, they're not preparing our kids to be successful out in the community. And that's across the board. It's not just, the white kids or the black kids or the brown kids. It's all of the kids. They're not teaching the kids. They don't intend to teach the kids. That's why I think it's been a big, giant social experiment where we have been trained to trust the system with our kids so well that we can see our own children failing, and we still keep sending them there.
Yeah.
We can see their needs not being met, and we keep sending them there because we've been trained to trust the system. It's school. Our kids are going to learn. No, they're not. But his grades are awesome. Make him demonstrate that to you. Make him demonstrate that he can write a cohesive report that makes sense, that is formatted correctly, good spelling and grammar. Let's see if he really, really can do that. I challenge everybody who's listening, if you have a child who's at the age where they should be able to write, ask them for a one-page essay on why you should give them $20. And if it's a smoking good essay, give them the $20. But if it's not, you'll see exactly what I'm saying. And I'll bet 1 in 10 will get a good essay. Everybody else will be like, what the heck? I'm so confident right now that there's a lot of people that would be sorely disappointed if they asked their 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th, all the way up to 12th grade kid to do that. They will be appalled at what they get.
Wow. Ladies,
should we want our kids to enter the teaching profession? I wouldn't want my kid to. I wouldn't want my kid to. If my kid said I wanted to be a teacher, I would work hard to discourage him. Like, no. What I would do is I wouldn't discourage him in the sense of, no, you're not going to do it. But I would tell him what's real. And then I would try to equip him to be the best teacher he could be going into what he's going into. So I would never discourage anyone from being a teacher. What I would do is tell them the truth about what education is and what it's not. So when they do get in there, they're not shocked. Because there are some great people who are pre-service teachers, and the system needs them. The system doesn't need them. The kids need them. And I don't want to discourage anybody, but I will frame it correctly. Don't go in there thinking that you teaching the kids is going to necessarily be valued, because it's not necessarily so. Let's see. Will school choice grow, or will government schools reign forever? I believe this. I believe that government schools will always be. But I also believe that there will be more school choice coming. Will it ever be an equal thing? I don't think so. I think that enough parents have been programmed to where there's always going to be a majority of parents who choose the public school system. And that's fine if that's what they choose for their families and their children. But I believe that choice will grow. There will be more options for parents. And I also believe that there's going to be a good segment of parents who are willing to pay or do what they need to get their children into proper education. Oh,
Go ahead.
good. I love it when parents fight and win. Love it. Love it. Love it. Love it.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, friends, Romans and countrymen, Ed, uh, do you want to do the giveaway tonight, or what do we want to do? I can't hear you now.
Well, George, I'm leaving it up to you. This show is called the George Espenlaub Show. I am just a Facebook jailbird. That's all I am.
All righty. Here's what we're gonna do. Let me put this up here for you. Let me find it first. We're gonna be giving away a copy of Ed's book, and this is the book
Yeah.
Escape from
Yeah.
Uncle Sam's Plantation.
Yeah.
And that's what we're gonna.
That
be
book is
giving away.
awesome.
So here's what we're gonna do. Enter in the comment section #book. And we'll give you a few seconds to do that if you haven't already done it. And then we'll hit the gizmo up here and we will see who is going to get a copy of Ed's book. And Ed, what should they do when they win? Should they email you their mailing address?
Yeah, that's a good idea.
All right. I'll let you put your mailing address on one of the banners or whatever.
Okay.
And #book. We only have a few minutes left, so #book. And then we're going to spin the gizmo. If you've already done it, you're in there. All right. So here we go. Let me pull this up. Let me hit draw. Whoop. Aja. Wonderful. Did everybody see it?
No.
No?
No.
What you're wrong here. Anyhow, Aja won it. I got it up here on the big screen. Man, talk about you a bad night. But anyhow, that's what I should have done here. I'm sorry. That's what we should have done. I'll show you. That's who won. It's fun, and that's who won. I'm sorry. Just another glitch. Murphy's Law. If it can go wrong, it will go wrong. But anyhow, hey, look, we had some great questions tonight, some great responses. Man, we're going to have Teresa to come back, and we'll get this technical problem figured out for her, because we'll do a test, and we're going to get her to come back real soon, because when she can hear us verbally respond to her, ladies and gentlemen, you better hook your seatbelt up, because it's going to be a turbulent ride. Turbulent ride. The lady says it like it is, the way it should be said, and I appreciate her so very much. So, Teresa, I know you can't hear me, but we're going to have you come back. Ring me up when we're done, and we'll get this thing straightened out for you. Okay?
Thank you.
All righty. Ed, thank you, buddy.
Well, you're welcome. It was a great show, honestly. I thought it, technical glitch, but let me tell you something. That was, as far as I saw it, pretty smooth running. That was pretty nice.
Yeah, it was, until I ran the gizmo and forgot to share it with everybody. But, Adrian,
I don't know how to hold back when it comes to public schools. I just don't. I don't. And I don't hold back because the lives that are affected negatively by what's happening in public schools, sorry. I no. I don't make excuses for it. No. There's people who their children end up dying, going to prison. They don't have any productivity in life because schools failed them. So no, I'm not quiet at all. No.
good for you.
And I have no shame, just none.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, thank you for your time. Ed, you might want to you've got Age's number, so you might want to text her and
Got it.
give it, all that information. And until next time, we'll probably be back early next week, and then again next Thursday night also. I got a feeling because we're going to get this worked out. We're going to bring Teresa back. So until then, good night, everybody.